Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am excited. Yes, again, I'm going to say this more than 50 times on this program because in 2019, we have more than 57 participants on here. I think we're close to 60. But in any event, I'm just so happy to have so many amazing people. And we definitely have another gentleman here who was featured in the Men of Influence 2018 BMWC magazine. If you're not sure what that magazine is, just head right over to bmwcpodcast.com and check out the 2018 third edition of the Men of Influence, where you're going to be finding our next guest on page 13 of that magazine. So just in case you didn't know what the BMWC is about, we are unifying people from around the world globally to share their information, their business, their publication, their career, their passion, and their talents, or whatever it is that they would like to share, tips, tricks, and anything, so that we can help you make informed decisions about your business and career. So make sure that you visit all of the pages and listen to all the podcast videos and webinars and anything that we have up on this page so that we can help you with your career. But first, we also need you to like, share, and vote, because we also have 7 awards that are going up for grabs for the third year in a row. We have BMWC winners from 2017 and 2018, so you can check that out on the BMWCpodcast.com page. And if you are interested in being part of the podcast, make sure you check back with us in 2020 as we come back in year 5. Before we get into our interview today, we would like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors, who are My Financial Home, Evangelism Radio, J&F Enterprises, Sears Consulting, Autism Families Rock, Awakening to Love, Eli Natoli, Kimberly McLemore, True Synergy, and Platinum Financial Services, along with all of our participants who are helping to make this season a huge, huge success. So, as I mentioned, we have another amazing individual who was featured in the BMWC magazine, and we're going to be talking to Don Napoleon, who is the executive producer and owner of the Napoleon Complex Project. He is a Emmy and NATO Award winner, video producer, video photographer, teacher, and mentor who has been telling the story of his life in pictures since picking up his first camera as a teen. His expert eye and imaginative approach to his craft has earned Don the title of creative visionary among his peers. He's a graduate of Virginia State University with a bachelor's in arts in psychology, and he has a minor in communications. Don quickly sought out the industry experience after college with organizations like NBC, Discovery Networks, and the DC Office of Cable Television, building his reputation along the way that made him a well sought after industry expert. So as you guys continue to read his bio, as he also worked with MTV, TV1, Essence.com, 20th Century Fox, and also the United States Senate and the House of Representatives, the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. I just can't wait to talk to Don. And we're going to be getting started with our interview with him right now. So, welcome to the podcast, Don.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I know that I'd have pretty much gave like your life history in that bio, right? I always do, because you guys give me a really great bios, and I really love hearing about all of the accomplishments that you guys have done. But we have a lot of people who may not know who you are, who's listening on the mobile devices or some other type of mobile medium. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and where you're originally from, and talk a little bit about your interests before you got into film.
Sure. Well, just a little bit about me. A hometown kid from East Orange, New Jersey, decided to go to school in West Virginia, but then quickly noticed that he needed to be around his people. So my right turn ended me down in Virginia State University. Great foundation, great friends, lifelong friends, great brotherhood of fraternity, and that's where everything began. A lot of people always talk about what their foundation is. That's actually where things began. I had an opportunity to cultivate who I was as a young man and where I wanted to go in life. So, upon graduating from college, my first job out of school was at News Channel 12 in Richmond. It was an NBC affiliate. And at that time, I really thought, and they said that I was going to be an on-air reporter until they offered me to work in a small town in South Carolina. I think it was called Sumter at the time. And I was like, how many people live there, and how many
Mm-hmm.
traffic lights in the town, and where do I have to go, and how long do I have to be there? So I quickly sort of like quickly
Mm-hmm.
took another turn and said, you know what, maybe I should just learn production instead and really understand before I try to dive into this reporting field and try to keep this amazing attitude and speaking and keeping myself groomed all the time. Let me understand television. And that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
much where it all began. I started in news. I went to New York and worked in marketing at a magazine for a couple of years, and then I made my way back to D.C. And in D.C. is where I started working in TV production as an associate producer, and that's where things kicked off. And D.C. has
Mm-hmm.
been my home, but my home away from home is New York.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges of getting in this industry because you kind of touched on that. And I'm always looking to inspire other young filmographers. I know that my son also is interested in doing films and he's already good at videos, but there are a lot of kids
Hmm.
out there who are
Right.
interested in the same type of thing. So kind of share a little bit about some of the challenges that you
Sure.
face. Just learning about film and
Hmm.
TV and anything that's related to where your path was going, and maybe share some tips behind that.
Definitely, definitely. I mean,
Mhm.
when I got started in the business, of course, it was years ago. It was in the late '90s, and I think, not saying that the students then and students now are different. My resilience and tenacity to succeed was like just so aggressive. But one of the things that I noticed, going from news into film and on the hill and going around the country in different states, I didn't see us. Like I didn't see our faces. So I was determined to really try to, put my stakeholder there and really try to see where I can fit. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be a DP. I wasn't sure if I was going to be an editor or a shooter, producer. I just didn't know, but I knew I wanted to do that. So just fast forward, blessings upon every opportunity that I received. We go back. My wife and I, go back to our alma maters, and we speak at the communication seminars a lot. And one year, I noticed that we just speak and then we leave. But what are we really doing? How are we helping? Because we kept hearing the challenges of students that they're like, it's hard. They are on Monster. They're on Indeed. And some of them are finding gigs and internships, and some of them aren't. And I completely understood because, you would send a resume, then it was either a friend of a family or you just wouldn't get in at all. And I started seeing a lot of students taking turns where they would, I'm just going to teach, or and nothing wrong with teaching, and I'm just going to take this other job, and then I'll have this as a side passion when they really knew that they wanted to get into TV production. So we saw those challenges and we understood those challenges because we had those challenges ourselves. Um, just, you know, coming up in the business, like I said, for some reason, like I spent 2 to 3 years in different areas of the business, from film to marketing to being a producer to a shooter, because I was trying to understand, and I knew it was limited everywhere I went because, quiet is kept. If you flip your hand on the other side, that skin was getting the preference over you. So I knew that I had to get smarter. Every year and
Mhm.
everything we had to do, we had to get smarter.
Mhm.
So again, just fast forwarding, speaking at these seminars, my wife and I was like, look, we've seen these challenges. We understand these challenges. We know that they're out there. What are the best ways to equip the next generation of students? So we chartered a bus almost 12 years ago, with 25 students. We called our connections in the city at different networks, and we set up 2-hour tours at each location, places like ESPN, Al Jazeera, XM, even our studio. And we basically wanted to give an avenue and streamline students to be able to see people that look like us and be able to get them an opportunity to internship and hopefully get jobs. That has
Yeah.
turned into almost a labor of love of over
Mhm.
800 students that are working at NFL Films, NBC affiliates in different places, because of just a little bit of a pull and a little bit of help. But just to go back to your question, we completely understood that there was a challenge because when we were out there just coming up, we barely saw people that looked like us. So this is what we do now to help.
Okay.
Students are looking at, they're
Mhm.
going up in networks and they're like, there's black writers, there's black engineers.
Mhm.
Yes, they
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah,
They do
and so
exist.
let me ask another question because you
Hmm.
touched on that because I think over the whole years, and this is going to lead to another question I have later,
Sure.
but even during that time when there wasn't a lot of African Americans in that space, were there other minorities in that space as well, or was it a lack thereof in, just kind of going through that whole timeline?
Yeah, no, there was, and hopefully I answered your last question.
You did.
There were,
Hmm.
and I think in strategically planning, I was like, okay, well, where can I go to find
Hmm.
brothers and sisters that won't mind mentoring or helping? And you look New York, is LA too saturated? Is New York too saturated? And I took a shot at DC, the Chocolate City, and in the district, I was able to find brothers that were in the DC Film Commission office. I mean, not Film Commission, DC Office of Cable Television, the mayor's channel that took a hand to mentor me. I found a brother that was working as a casting agent, and I went under his wing. So I was able to find them, but was it hard to find them? Yes. It was basically every event that I attended, I stayed in contact with people and I followed up. So I was able to find mentors that didn't mind mentoring me along the way. So to answer your question, I was able to find them, but it was hard to find
Okay.
them.
So the other part of the question is, during that time when you were kind of going through college and maybe some of the internships or working at some of the places, were there other lines of ethnic backgrounds that was also working in this space, or was there lack thereof?
It was lack thereof, definitely.
Okay.
It was definitely lack
Hmm.
thereof. Because that was one of the things that I kept noticing. Like every either agency or network where I was, I'm like, where are we? And we were at networks around the country. I mean, don't quote me wrong. It was just the places that I was going into. Like even when I was working in film, and there were a lot of films were coming into the city, stay to play, and I had the museum, Transformers when they were coming, and I would move from different departments to understand how the departments would work, and I'm like, where are we? But again, I was blessed to find a brother named Chan Clackett. He's a production manager, a well-known, well-connected production manager in motion picture in the city, and he was like, brother, I got you. So every time there was a film, he would call. He would connect me with commercials and films that were happening. So there was
Hmm.
a lack of, but I was able to find
Hmm.
at least a few that didn't mind
Right,
putting me under
right.
their wing. Yes,
Nice.
definitely.
Well, that
Yeah,
I think that that's an awesome opportunity, and I love the fact that you're also paying it forward by
yes,
giving other kids the opportunity to see what it is that what goes on behind the camera. Because we're oblivious. We're looking at TV and we're like, "Wow, look at this show." We have
right,
no idea what goes on behind the scenes to make all of that happen,
for
whether it be
sure.
film or news or whatever. And I do think that in the course of the last 10 years, there's been an increase of minorities in television, films, and now there's a video game now where there's like all minority cast. My husband had paid for, and I was kind of
Nice.
shocked a little bit. It actually took me aback a little bit because I wasn't expecting it. They always have
Right.
like the characters that have like the armor on, so you couldn't really tell who is who behind the armor,
Hmm.
right? But
Right.
this particular video game actually came out with a whole cast and a whole storyline for about maybe an hour before they actually got into the actual video game. And it was really refreshing to see that because you don't really see that often. And so, what is your professional opinion about the level of people who are now getting in the industry in terms of film and television?
It's a movement. I mean, so it's a movement that's happening, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't notice it taking place. Um, it's definitely a movement that's happening. I think we as a people have noticed over the years the challenges, with actors, with people that are in film and television and news, that we've noticed the challenges that have occurred. And it didn't start with me. It started with ages before us that they were like, you know what, we got to make a change. We got to make a move. And I think the seeds that were planted years ago are now starting to come into fruition. That's why you see a lot of black producers in Hollywood. You see a lot of black things are changing things around. A lot of networks are starting to pop up. We got a little bit of work to do, but they're popping up. Even and even this is kind of so sidebar, but like I love seeing the synergy with Jay-Z and Diddy and how their circle. They're like, we got to come together because we are culture, as they keep saying. But there is a movement that's happening.
Yeah, I can definitely see the movement as well. I see it all over the place. It's particularly now that I have the podcast, there's a whole lot of new people coming out
Hmm.
and really kind of stepping up and sharing what they know, which is exciting for me. But more importantly, that the kids that are growing up, no matter what their ethnic background, because that's what the WOC stands for, is
Right.
everyone of color. And so
Right.
I'm seeing a new movement of young people just
Hmm.
coming together and just going out there and not being afraid
Yes.
to exert their talent and to investigate. I'm gonna use
For
the word
sure.
investigate new
Hmm.
things that are happening out there, and I'm just getting really excited about that. And it also helps me become creative, right? As a business person and a business coach, to say, hey, here's some new stuff that you can, take this information and just go with it, right?
Definitely.
So I
Yep.
really love that. And that's part of what you were doing with some of the stuff that you were doing with kids. I know that people can go back to the BMWC magazine, they can read about some of the things that you have involved yourself in terms of kids. And so I'm going to let you talk about some of the exciting things that you've done in addition to having them go to tours.
Sure. I mean, are you talking about in regards to my career or the programs?
I think it's some of the programs
Sure.
that you had. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, when we noticed that, we were just speaking and leaving, and what are you really doing? You're giving them a few tools, but you're not really helping them. We're like, oh, we got to help them out. So, with one of the things of tours, we've opened them up to so many different networks now. I mean, we've brought students to not only just radio, but between film, theater, news. But if we can't physically get you to a location, college students, if we physically can't get them to a location, then we have a midday lunch symposium that we've increased the time to about 2 to 3 hours, where we have roundtable discussions. So this year, we actually just had a tour with Virginia State University, and we had my partner in TV production come by. We had a young lady that's a strategic marketing planner. We also had a young fellow that graduated from our alma mater. That's a professor at the Baltimore Community College in the Film and Media Department. And then we also had a young lady that was the former director of Grammy U, and now she has her own business. And they come and they have these roundtable discussions to really get in-depth questions from the student on what is the best things they should do, especially these seniors that are about to come out of school and the juniors. Where should they intern? Who should they call? And what we're doing with our programs is just making a connection. That's all we're doing. If we can
Nice.
connect you, because we vet a lot of the students before they get on the bus, they're vetted by the school departments. So they know a lot of students that are coming on the tours, they're pretty serious about coming. They're not just coming to DC to joke around. They're already pre-vetted. They know what they want to do, and all we want to do is connect them. And just to give you a story, like one of our first
Hmm.
tours, we connected a young lady, Jasmine, with a student from Howard that was graduating from their film department that was working in the Cannes Film Festival. She connected with her. The following year, the young lady went back to her. She was working as an intern, but then she submitted her project and won as a film festival recipient, right, in the student department. And she later went on to Newhouse. We connected her. She later went into Newhouse, and now she's working in the business. So we call them small programs, but that one program as a tour has really linked students where they want to go. We've also had film festivals. They're very small. We've had small film festivals in the local DC market where, if you have a local project and you're a high school student, a college student, once a year the Atlas Performing Arts Center has this I can't even remember the name of the weekend, but we have a little segment in there where we showcase film projects, and we just have people submit it. We don't rate them. We just come through, submit them.
Hmm.
If there's no profanity or bad
Mm-hmm.
sex or craziness, and we'll air it. And it
Wow.
just gives an
Okay.
opportunity to have their project aired there. And a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years ago, just talking about giving people opportunities, during the Stinty administration, I was working with the DC Arts and Humanities Department, and they brought me in to produce a 1-hour segment in the DC market where we can air everything between art, music, and independent film production. So you would submit your work to our department. We would look through it and we would create this 1-hour block that would just air only in the district. It's just exposure, and that's why our
Yeah.
program is called. That's why our program is called Exposure Media Project DC. We're just
Okay.
looking to give this young people exposure,
Nice.
paying it forward, Anissa. That's all we do.
Oh, yeah. You
You
know
know.
what? I really appreciate the fact that you actually call me by my first name too, Anissa, because nobody ever really calls me that. But, I appreciate that. And I really appreciate the fact that you are helping young people
For sure, for
get
sure. Well,
exposure, because that is the key. That is the key. They just don't understand networking, connection, exposure, those three
definitely.
things.
Well,
And
my
I want,
mentor, my
hmm
mentors always told me when you're talking to someone,
hmm
research them first and then say their name a couple of times so
absolutely.
you give them personal respect too.
You know what? It's quite all right. It's quite all right. And you know what? That's the fourth word too. You got to have research as well.
Yep,
So I want to flip the conversation now to you have been awarded an Emmy. You got an Emmy award. How great is that for your work with the Dorothy Height Foundation honoring Keith Babyface Edmonds and Capital File, and you've done all this work. What exactly was this work that you did that earned you your first Emmy, and how did you feel about it?
um I'm a prayerful person. Even when I was about to propose to my wife, I prayed. I was like, Lord, let me know if I'm supposed to marry this lady. If not, I'm gonna walk out this door. All
Oh
right.
no.
So
Well, it
I
worked
was
out.
gonna. It worked out, but if he said, sent me a message, I would have to
Mm.
figure out. But no, love my wife to pieces. Um, when I prayed about an award to win, I was like, Lord, I want to win something. I want to be recognized as the things that I do, and I want another one. I want more, because I think we definitely should be recognized about the work that we do. And I took a job with the Maryland Public Television. I knew that you could win an Emmy, not between the Mid-Atlantic, Eastern, and I knew you could win it across the country. They have all these different levels of Emmys. Then it leads up to the big one, right, in LA. And
Mhm.
and I took a job over at the Maryland Public Television. It was just a segment to produce a children's special, and not even thinking about it. I just went and produced the segment. I always give it my full all storytelling expertise, and I always give it 100%. Like I look at projects 2, 3, 4 times to see if I see my craft in there, if I see the storytelling, if it's conveying the message properly, or the shots is detailed. That's all I did. And I got a call, maybe 6 months into the project. We had finished and it was wrapping up, and they were like, "Hey, we just got nominated for the Mid-Atlantic Emmys. You got a tux, you know? Can you get to the Ritz-Carlton?" I'm like, "Hell
Wow.
yeah!" Right? So we
Mhm.
go down there, and I'm not thinking about it. I didn't have any other awards at the time.
Mhm.
I think I had won the Nato Award prior to then, and they called all the categories and we won. Right? I'm sitting there with my wife like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Literally the next day, I carried the Emmy around in the car like it was a passenger, and and I would get out the car, and people's eyes would get so like, "Is that? Excuse my friend, is that a fucking Emmy?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Like,
Ooh.
back up, but yeah, it is. And it was just
Mm.
a re, if I'm using the correct word, a reaffirmation that God is like, "Look, man,
Reaffirmation. That's right. It was.
you have something to do.
Mhm.
Like you have a purpose." And I'm giving this to you so you can keep this purpose moving and keep this storytelling engine going, because it's so many different kinds of stories to tell. And that leads into the second
Mhm.
part of your question.
Mhm.
We redid our website a couple of years ago because we wanted to do stories that matter. We didn't want to do stories that were just regular productions or just some Tom, Dick, Joe, or Harry that wanted to produce anything. We wanted to manifest projects that were stories that matter. And every project that we've received, between working with one of the Nelson Mandela Award shows, the Dorothy Height project, even with some NFL players that we work with now, our job is always documenting this project or documenting the day and telling a compelling story that will either cause change or give information. And literally that prayer has been all the projects that we receive, because people know that we can document it well and we can do a really good job storytelling.
Nice.
And and that's been it. And that's just something we're going to carry on and just keep doing.
Okay. All right. So I have really, really talked a lot about your career, and now I want to talk about Don the man. What do you like to do outside of all of this that you're doing? What do you like to do personally for fun?
I like Haitian rum because I'm Haitian, so I keep bottles of Haitian rum in my house
All right.
to entertain folks. But I'm a big health enthusiast, and like I said, I'm a praying dude. So church, number one on the list. God, morning, afternoon, and night. For fun, I started doing Krav Maga, the Israeli kind of fighting training years ago, because I was traveling a lot and I was going to a lot of these remote areas, and I was like, well, if I get captured, I just know how to fight in the schoolyard. So I guess I need to figure out how to really fight. So when I started learning Krav Maga, it was fun to me, and I was also getting in shape. So fast forward years later, I'm doing CrossFit now. I've been doing CrossFit for about eight to 9 months. I love doing it. It's part of my pastime, 2 to 3 days a week, and just spending time with my family. Trying not to talk them to death about everything, all the knowledge that's inside of my head. But CrossFit is like my morning prayer. Like, I wake up and I just can't wait to get there 2 to 3 days a week. And I love to travel.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I'm not working, I'm trying to figure out where are we going to visit next. If we're going to drive there, if we're going to hop on a plane, I try to get my family to do as much as we can together, because it's all about family.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. And so, do you have any activities or conferences or events or even any training that is coming up in the next few months in which people can get more information about what
Yeah.
you do?
Sure. So we've always wanted to, through the Exposure Media Project, we're always looking at expanding different programs, and we take baby steps at doing them. So right now, we're working with the Maryland we're getting ready to work with 2 different schools. I'm not going to name the schools. We're getting ready to work with 2 different schools in Maryland, where we launched a program where it's basically storytelling 101. So right now, a lot of the projects are school based. We are looking to see if we can get a storytelling conference in place. So I'm talking to a lot of people in my circle. That's not fully launched yet, but it is something that we're working on. And we don't really offer anything online. And from time to time, if you're connected with us on LinkedIn or if social media sites, we will do some pop-up one-day, document your day photography or video sessions where you can shadow us, or you can come on the workshop with us and really kind of understand what we do and how we do it and how we document and how you do our storytelling with photography and video.
Okay. And
Yep.
so, before I ask your last question, give everybody your contact information on where they can find this information and anything else about you and the Napoleon Complex Project and anything else,
Sure.
because you got a
Well,
lot going on.
our base, of course, the NapoleonComplexProject.com, which is our website. And I definitely think you can get that information. I think you posted some stuff about it, and I'll give it to you again. So our website is our foundation. That's where most of our information is laid out. But we do a very good job through my wife's direction to post as much as we can on LinkedIn and also Instagram. So we're always, if we are working on something, we're getting ready to work on something. That's where. So if you're connected with us on LinkedIn, and I never could remember what my handles are, so hopefully you can send those out, Anissa.
Oh, it'll be on your
It'll
webpage,
be on it.
and
Yeah,
yeah, it's going to be definitely on your webpage. But we got a lot of people who are on mobile devices. They can
right.
also get this information as well. So
Sure.
they'll definitely be able to click on there. And so my last question that I would like to ask you, that I've asked everyone so far, is what do you need personally and professionally to keep thriving and doing what you're doing? What do you need?
I'm never going to say that I got what I need. I'm not going to say that I have everything, ever. And I wouldn't even dare to say that. What I need and what I strive for every single day is this continuing relationship with God, because that He's my all guidance. And I pray. I'm a prayerful person. I pray every single day. And me and my wife lately have been really, really, really involved ourselves into manifesting and really coordinating what we know with the universe, because we think that's everything, right? There's two different parts of praying and also manifesting and understanding of what the universe can do for you. This relationship with God is so important.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can ask for something physical, it's a blessing to it's a blessing for us to finally get our DC-based studio up and running. That's something that we are looking forward to doing this year, because I think that's going to I believe that's going to help us expand our education of what we're doing, to help keep educating the next generation of people, at the same time training, but also to have a place to call home and multi-use where other creatives can come to. We have a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? We have a very intricate, detailed system that we're trying to put together as a storytelling house. We don't want it to be this video production building. We don't want it to be just this facility that you call a studio. We want this to be a storytelling incubator. So if you're understanding that you really want to learn storytelling and you want to enrich yourself with not just what we're providing, but what other creatives, we want to have a facility where we can help to educate. And and just to tag on to that, educate our people.
That's right. Educate. That's my
That's the
favorite word,
goal.
Dom. That's my favorite
Yeah,
word.
that's
Well,
the
you know
goal.
what? You have definitely inspired me, and I am certain that people who are listening to this podcast are going to be equally or even more inspired about all of the things that you have been able to not only accomplish on your own in terms of film and all the Emmy, everything, but you're also paying it forward and educating our future with the same information, so that there is something for us to continue in this journey in terms of journalism and film and TV and all that stuff, and all the other workshops and all the other stuff that you got going on. I mean, you got so much stuff, I can't even name it all, but I'm definitely inspired by you in many, many ways, and hope that people will also feel the same. And so with that, everybody, please make sure you connect with Don. Connect with him on whatever it is you need to be inspired on, and also everybody else that's on this podcast platform. We do have 3 years going all the way back to 2016. So make sure that you like, share, and vote. If you like this interview, vote for Don. And also check out all the other stuff so that you can also vote. And with that, Don, I want to thank you for being part of the
Same here.
movement, to be
Same here.
here helping students and helping everybody understand the passion behind what you're doing.
Well, if I can tell you, I also want to thank you for creating this platform. I think it's important for us to, as our people, to connect with each other, and also to hear other voices, to hear what other people are doing. Like you said, if we can inspire another person, then we've done our job. So I just want to thank you for even putting this platform together. And again, people want to reach me, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Instagram. My information will be there. I look forward to just passing information on. That's what we're here for. So I appreciate you too.
So awesome. Thank you.